fair and secure election.
The most secure
election in American history.
Really?
All those of you who volunteered and worked the polls, you deserve a special thanks from the entire nation.
This one mule made 53 trips to 20 drop boxes. He's not alone. We tracked 2,000 mules making multiple ballot drops. Leaving no fingerprints. Snapping photos to get paid. A coordinated ring of illegal vote harvesting in all the key states where the election was decided.
They've delivered us a clear victory.
Put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
The most prominent lawsuit is in Pennsylvania, where the deadline for mail-in ballots is at the center of that dispute, in a case that could land at the Supreme Court.
Hi, Martha. Well, look, Pennsylvania Republicans, the Trump campaign, and 10 attorneys general from red states have petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court, urging them to take this case up. Now, under Pennsylvania's Act 77, mail ballots must arrive by 8 p.m. on November 3rd to count. Now, Pennsylvania's Supreme Court bypassed the legislature and extended the deadline by 3 days, which meant as long as mail ballots were postmarked by November 3rd and arrived by 5 p.m. November 6th, they count. Now, Republicans argue the extension is unconstitutional.
Kristen, go ahead.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you about Flint.
Kristen, go ahead. You're live. Kristen Welker in the spin room. I believe she has a Clinton communications director with her. Go ahead, Kristen.
Okay, thank you. I think this is his last question.
You know, we have Kristen Welker. We're looking at her. She couldn't quite hear me before. Can you hear me now? If you can, go ahead.
Hey, Ari, I'm here with communications director Jen Palmieri for the Clinton campaign.
Is a postal worker who made 4 stops within an hour. We have the timestamps right there. And again, this is speeded up a little bit, I think. But she made 4 different stops within an hour at the drop box. We're not sure
drop box.
We're not sure about the legality of this, but it certainly appeared suspect. So here she is going back again and again. We haven't seen other post office workers doing this, so that's why this stood out to us. Did you want to add anything on that, Patty?
Yeah, just in the final video. So this is the same person, and the number on the vehicle matches each time. So in the 4th visit, she comes back, and this is her private vehicle. So this is not a post office vehicle. She comes back for a 4th trip with a big stack. That's a pretty substantial stack of ballots. And she throws them in the drop box, and then
great work, guys.
Private vehicle.
This is.
That's great.
Having been through thousands of hours of video myself. People don't understand the tedium of this and how difficult this is, but that is super impressive. So proud of you folks, guys.
And the black Nike shoes, who was very busy that day. This is election day, I believe. It might be the day before. But Patty, you have.
Yeah, so he was first confronted by one of the team members that was watching the Detroit Office of Elections and several ballot drop boxes. They had teams of people that were watching the drop boxes. So he was confronted. He was carrying a stack of blank ballots out of the Department of Elections, and he was standing by the curb, and one of the people that was working in this team asked him where he was going with them, and he got nervous and said that he was delivering them to one of the satellite locations that was about 7 miles away. And when they asked why he was delivering blank ballots that were not in a container, he said he'd been doing it all day. That was his 5th trip. And then he got nervous and started to walk away, and they asked him where he was going. He said he was going to walk there, which was 7 miles away. And then the video that Jim just showed is about 7 or 9 minutes after they saw this man that said he was walking 7 miles to the next satellite district or satellite office to drop off blank ballots.
So he obviously got a ride there. So it's interesting. There's obviously more. They saw this guy around. He was a very busy person in Detroit. The other video.
I think if there's one thing as you go on here, Jim, if there's one thing that I can say that we all need to. I mean, obviously cleaning the voter rolls is super important, but these drop boxes are going to be in place. Americans and patriots have to get eyes on these drop boxes. Those people that confronted that guy are legit heroes.
Absolutely.
Yep, we agree. So this woman is delivering a stack of ballots, and the person behind her rolls down the window and hands her a ballot to put in the ballot box with her stack. And then she goes back to her car with a stack of ballots again. And I think at that point she realized that the ballots were not signed. And so you're going to watch her sign each ballot in the vehicle. And she signs them and puts them on the dashboard individually. First she searches for a pen. It takes a second, but we've got this speeded up so you can see. But yeah, so she's signing. And when it slowed down, you can see the pen in her hand when she reaches up and puts the ballot on the dashboard each time.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so
that's it.
You guys are
good fun. Good fun.
Yeah, they did a great job. They did a great job finding this. And as you can see, there it is right there. And they did a close-up with the camera. The footage is very clear. There shows right to the drop box. So Mission accomplished.
Unbelievable.
So this woman is delivering
of New Jersey's voter rolls finds tens of thousands of errors which could compromise future elections. According to a report by the Public Interest Legal Foundation released on Monday, over 8,200 residents became registered twice or more. There were some who were registered up to 6 times under variation of their names. The report also found some of those registered were listed as being 105 years old or older. This comes after the group sued New Jersey Secretary of State for refusing to disclose how duplicate voter registrations are resolved. And for more on this and other election integrity issues, I want to bring an attorney for the Save America PAC, Christina Bobb. Hi, Christina. Good to see you.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Stella.
Christina, this is very disturbing. You have residents who were registered twice or more, up to 6 times. How do you think this impacted the 2020 vote count in New Jersey, and will it affect the future of elections if the issue isn't fixed?
Yeah, I think it absolutely affected the 2020 election. And more importantly, I think it affected the 2021 election. If we remember, New Jersey and Virginia both had gubernatorial races last year. And the Republican candidate, Jack Ciattarelli, had actually won on election night in New Jersey. But lo and behold, they found more ballots. They had to delay the vote for 10 more days, like repeat of what we saw in 2020. They found additional ballots. And then Governor Murphy, the Democrat incumbent, won by the skin of his teeth. Now, you mentioned that there were 8,200 people who are more than 8,200 people who were registered twice in New Jersey, possibly more times. There was also 33,000 people who are registered under fictitious birthdays where their records don't match. There are people with birthdays in the future. They are yet to be born, yet they're registered in New Jersey. There's someone who was born in the year 956. They probably meant to say 1956, but at least according to their records, they're from the Byzantine Empire. So New Jersey has failed abysmally at actually keeping track of their voter rolls and making sure that their voting records are scrubbed. Or worse, they've done what they've tried to do, which is to keep it blurry so that they can stuff ballots.
33,000 birthdays and some in the future? Like, what are we talking about? Like 2035?
Yes. Yeah. 2028 and 2029. There are voters in New Jersey that will be born in about 6 to 7 years.
And they're voting. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is, or will, I mean, is this or will this issue be compounded by the growing number of people voting by mail?
It is compounded, but I think the fact that it's coming to light, thank you to the Public Interest Legal Foundation and for the many groups across the country that are doing work like this, that are bringing this to light. The voter roll issue is paramount. It is what allows, like what we saw in 2000 Mules, the ballot harvesting scheme to actually work, because those ballots have to be assigned to a voter, and that has to come from the voter roll. So these groups that are doing these scrubs are doing God's work, making sure that our elections are secure by pointing out the many, many, many discrepancies that are well more than enough to change the outcome of the election. So as frustrating and aggravating as it is, I think it's helpful in the sense that people are paying attention now. You've got groups on it that are targeting it. And even though the mainstream media is trying to cover it up and gloss over it, the public isn't standing for it. The public is listening to One America News and other conservative outlets and podcasts and alternative media sources to get the truth. They're doing the research themselves and looking up the report themselves to get the information. So I do think our voting population is a lot more informed than they have been in prior elections. And I think that they are going to hold these people accountable.
Yeah, the public is smart. You can't fool them. And speaking of stuff that's being glossed over, you know, we just saw last week that the former San Luis mayor in Yuma, Arizona, she pleaded guilty to illegally collecting early ballots in the 2020 primary. In some cases, Christina, Guerramina Fuentes filled out ballots that weren't hers. What does this say to Americans that someone could be indicted on such serious charges and then effectively have it swept under the rug?
Well, it's being swept under the rug by the people who cheated in the first place to get into office, but it's being corrected. So now that we've got Americans paying attention to the issue, thank God for True the Vote and all of the information that they have brought to light, which this indictment and guilty plea is actually confirming that what we're seeing from True the Vote actually did take place, and people are pleading guilty to those causes of action. I think it just goes to show that the American people are cleaning out their voter rolls. They're cleaning out the corruption in elections. And once we get through 1, 2, maybe 3 more election cycles cleaning out this corruption, I think we're going to start incrementally seeing these people held accountable.